Are you still a taxi boss?
No. I was young. I tried many businesses. One of them was a taxi.
I know in the Defense Force you do have titles. Can you just tell me a little bit about it? Did you have one?
Yes. So there are different titles. So when you start, you start as an airman.
Okay.
And then the first rank that will then go to will be Lance Corporal.
Okay.
The second one, Full Corporal. And then the third one will be Sergeant. So when I left the Defense Force, I was a Sergeant. Each one of us was created with a purpose. And if you want to know your purpose, go to the one who created you. And in the case of man, it is God. By God's grace, we've been married for 20 years with my wife. We're from the same place. Her name is Momo.
Normally home advantage.
Yeah, home advantage.
Yeah.
You know, language,
Okay.
and even when we visit, we go to one area.
JJM Leadership Foundation.
Welcome to JJM Leadership Podcast, where we have real conversations with real leaders who are shaping the world through conviction, courage, and also character. At JJM Leadership Foundation, we believe that we are all leaders because leadership is not a position, but influence. So today's segment is going to be a very interesting one. I'm going to be welcoming my friend of more than 20 years, and that is Warren Makgowe. I want to welcome him into this podcast, hoping that you will learn a lot from him. He's a leader that is making the most out there, a communicator of note, a strategist, a father, and also a husband. Welcome to the show, Warren.
Thank you very much, Pastor Joe Mudau. Firstly, let me thank you for inviting me, and also appreciate the relationship that we have had for so many years. When we came to Pretoria, we were still very young. And if you want to know that God lives, just look at our lives. So thank you very much for the invitation. And I thank God for the work that you are doing, the difference that you are making in the lives of our people. And we continue to pray for you. And thanks once again for the invitation.
Thank you so very much, Warren, for that. And you just triggered something interesting about our youthful life, man, when we were in Pretoria. But I want you to take us back a little bit in terms of where you're coming from. I want you to just take our viewers into confidence in terms of who Warren is and where you're coming from. And just that little bit of a background that shaped your life and where you are today.
Okay, thank you very much, Pastor Joe. I'm from Taung, Bokone Bupirima province in the Northwest Province. I'm from a small village called Taung. It became known after a man from the area killed a person and ate a person. and people started to know about Taung. I'm from a family of 5. I have a sister, and I'm the second born, and a younger sister. I grew up just like any young boy who loved soccer. And my coach, who became my brother, named me Buster. So every time somebody calls me Buster, not Pastor, but Buster, I know he's from or she's from Taung. My mother was an educator who believed that education is very, very important. And we grew up with that mentality. Because of the economic structure then, my father had to work in Gauteng. So I only got to see him, after 2 months, sometimes after 3 months. So I did not know my father that well until he came for retirement. But that was my background. Did my primary school until high school in Taung. And then in 1997, I came to Pretoria. That's a bit about who Warren. My name in Setswana is Khutsile Khosi Makgowe.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Interesting. I love it when you are painting, I think, a very common picture for a lot of black children. I remember, I think I came this side of Gauteng in 1996. It was the year that my father was also going for pension. So it's sort of like we're exchanging provinces, you know. So he had to go to the north and I was coming this side of Gauteng. So it's a common story for a lot of people. But one thing that is interesting about you, I want you to also talk a little bit about you joining the army. What happened?
Yeah. So when I was in grade 12, then we used to call them standard 10.
Yeah.
I spoke to my mother to say, I want to go to university. Have you saved money? And obviously she called the insurance company. And then
old mutual funds.
Yes, that one. And they came back to say, yes, we have saved something. But when I looked at the amount, I realized that money won't be enough to take me through university for 3 years. And by that time, I had a younger sister who was doing a standard behind me. Okay. And then I said to myself, man, I don't want to go to university to struggle. So I said to my mother, in fact, we said, you know what, allow me to look for work. My mother's not happy. And fortunately that year, the South African National Defence Force came to our area, in particular the Air Force. I must say I did not know anything about the Air Force. We only knew about the Army to recruit. So our life orientation educator, informed us about this opportunity, and we went to Mabana Cultural Center to listen to this opportunity. And right there, I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to go for this opportunity. 2 questions that I asked the HR personnel that were there was, one, will you be paying me? And they said, yes, we'll pay you because you'll be working. And then number 2, can I study whilst working?
Okay.
And so those were the 2 qualifying questions for me. And I received an affirmative responses. Then I went back home to my mother to say, I found something that I can do to earn and study, because I know education is very, very important to you.
Yeah. Okay.
And for me, the one thing that I've learned from there is that sometimes in life, just have belief. I believe that I'll go and look for work. I didn't know where work was going to come from. But right there, I learned that belief is powerful. Belief is powerful because out of that belief, an opportunity came, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's a very, very interesting part. But do you want to extend in terms of the lessons that you have learned? In particular, it could be discipline, it could be leadership, it could be the understanding of purpose and mission that you have learned when you were in the army. Right.
I must say, I don't regret that I joined the Air Force. I don't regret that I decided to spend 8 years of my time there. So after matric, I joined the Air Force and I did my training in Pretoria. And at that time, the government was recruiting black people in various roles. They wanted to increase the number of pilots. They wanted to increase the number of navigators, engineers. So I joined the Air Force in the logistics side of it. And at that time, in my mind, I wanted to work, save money, and do agriculture. Why? Because, again, from a rural area, you don't have career guidance people, and you look at people who are doing well. So a lot of guys who were agricultural technicians were doing well. And I said, you know what, I'll do that. In fact, I had already applied at the University of the Free State. So they've accepted me, So I said, okay, now that I could not go there, now I'm going to the Air Force. I will raise money and then go and study. But things changed, because then when I came to Pretoria, I was invited to a church by my younger sister, Rungwa, to go to Tower of Grace. And I was introduced to the subject purpose, and that changed my life. But before I get carried over on that one, let me respond to your question.
Yeah.
What did I learn from the Air Force?
Firstly,
discipline.
Okay.
Discipline. Physical discipline, tenacity, teamwork, leadership, and the importance of training.
Okay.
And all of these elements are important for a leader. we were trained that for a mission to be successful, you have to work with other people. We were trained that if your team member is weak, you don't leave them behind, you go with them. And those values became very important as I continue. Remember, we were recruited when we were still young from matric. The Defense Force took us, equipped us, trained us to become professionals. So I learned the value of training and development, that if you work with people who are willing, you can develop them to become leaders. And for me, I've learned that, you know what, look for potential in the lives of people, you can empower them to become leaders. And where did I learn from it? From the Defense Force. Yeah. I have friends who are still working in the Defense Force. They hold senior position. They're doing so well, and I'm happy for that opportunity that one received. And even today, I still use the same skills and values that I learned from the Defense Force to inform what I do even today, in my professional life, but also my personal life in my family.
I know in the Defense Force you do have titles. Can you just tell me a little bit about it? Did you have one?
Yes. So there are different titles. So when you start, you start as an airman.
Okay.
And then the first rank that will then go to will be Lance Corporal.
Okay.
The second one, Full Corporal. And then the third one will be Sergeant. So when I left the Defense Force, I was a Sergeant.
So how kopana le majita ba sa a sergeant, or how resign?
No, you never lose your rank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you never lose your rank. So I have a force number.
Okay.
I still remember it. When I look at the gents now, I'll call them with a rank. I say, hey, Colonel, how are you doing? By the way, I'm still a sergeant.
Okay.
Interesting. You don't lose your rank. Yeah.
Colleagues, I've got Sergeant Makgowe here with me. So I hope that you are learning something from this conversation. Yeah. But I want you to take me through as well in terms of this transition. What happened where you moved now from being a sergeant into communication officer, communication specialist.
Yeah.
Now you continue to inform, I think, the boardroom in terms of the strategies that you employ based on your new journey that you've undertaken.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, when I joined the Defense Force, that was not my plan. I knew that I wanted to study. At that time, I wanted to study agriculture, but it was out of being ill-informed. So when I came to Pretoria, I then joined a church after I was invited by my younger sister, Moroma. The first Sunday when I came, the preacher then was talking about discovering your purpose and how that is important to inform all your decisions in life, your professional career, your business, even your marriage. And that stuck with me because then I said to myself, okay, right, Warren, if you have to discover your purpose, and according to the preacher, he is saying that God has created each one of us with a purpose. And our role is to discover that purpose. Yeah. So therefore, I need to discover what my purpose is. Okay. And once I've discovered that, then I need to decide what to study to equip me to follow my purpose. So the mistake sometimes that we do is that you decide on your career and then study. But I learned quickly that discover your purpose first. And then from there, you can identify the education and training development opportunities that you need to do to equip you. And then I started to pray about it, but also spoke to people, but also spoke to people to understand different areas, but also read books to help understand who I was, what my purpose was. And I realized that I like working with people. As much as I was an introvert, and I'm still I'm an introvert, people don't believe that. But I realized that
Do you really believe you are, Warren?
I believe that I'm an introvert.
Okay.
But when it's time to work, I come out of that cocoon.
Okay.
But I realized that I like to work with people. And therefore, I started to identify opportunities to study that will equip me. And the one area that caught my attention was communication, marketing, and public relations. And at that time, I registered with the Technical in South Africa, which has now changed to University of South Africa. And
so that was some years back, yeah?
Some years.
Because I don't think some of my 2000 knows about that college, yeah?
They wouldn't know about it. So when I enrolled, I started to look for an opportunity within the Defense Force to move from logistics to communication. And again, most people, when they think of defense force, they think of somebody who has a gun. The defense force is an
That's when the
organization.
roots have them.
Yeah, the defense force is an organization like any other organization. You have all the careers.
Okay.
We have HR people who are responsible for hiring people and firing people. We have, and maybe let me take advantage to educate people a little bit about the defense force. There are 4 arms of service.
Okay.
So it's the Air Force. So they look after the air, protect the airspace.
Okay.
And then you have the Army. They look after the ground, the land,
ground,
and
okay.
our borders. And then you have the Navy. They look after our water.
Our water, okay.
And then we have the military health services who look after the healthcare and the wellness of the defense force. So doctors, psychologists, you have them in that military services. So that's how I got to change from logistic to communication, and later, after spending 8 years in the defense force, went to join other sectors.
Okay. And I think talking about the sectors that you have joined, I remember, I think years back, you joined the municipality.
Yes, yeah.
And then from there, you moved into universities, I think, at the educational sector. You worked for both UNISA and University of the Northwest.
Correct.
And of course, you continue to work for the private sector as we speak now. But what has been your, that connector to this journey? What has always been a differentiation factor for you as you move across these sectors?
Yeah. I must say, for me, the one thing that changed my life was that invitation by my younger sister Moroma, and I'll forever be grateful. Because when we grew up, we used to go to church. With my mother and father, we knew that every Sunday we must go to church, but we did that out of compliance. But when my younger sister invited to a church, and the teacher then was preaching about discovering your purpose and how important that is, and that purpose is the original intent why you were created, and therefore God knows exactly why He created you. So commune with God to discover your purpose. That helped me to discover who I was and the area that I needed to follow. And therefore, I realized that I love to work with young people. I realized that I like to develop people. And therefore, whatever that I did was in that line to develop people. And that's why even in church, I worked a lot with young people. At work, I'm pro development of people because that's what I'm passionate about.
I want to give you a challenge, and for you to talk to a young person that just arrived in Gauteng or any other big city where they are pursuing their dreams and all that. And I want you to talk to that camera in particular, talking to those young people. What could be that one particular message that you want to give to them, especially when they arrive into these big cities, so that they are not swallowed up, their values are not lost in the air? What can you say to them?
So I think that the first thing that I will advise is that each one of us was created with a purpose. And if you want to know your purpose, go to the one who created you. And in the case of man, it is God. So my advice will be find a local church that will help you to discover your purpose, and you'll grow as a person. And then number 2, discover your purpose, and your career must be informed by that particular purpose. That's number 3. And then number 4, surround yourself with people who will equip you. There were people in my life who really assisted me. So surround yourself with people who will coach you, because some of them have made mistake and you don't have to repeat the same mistake. Some of them will open doors for you and you don't have to struggle. So these are the few advice that I'll give to somebody who's young, coming to a city from a rural place like we came from at that time.
Indeed. Find your purpose. And that purpose can only be found from God. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So Warren, your job, I think, in terms of communication and the people that you work with, I guess it brings a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
How have you navigated that, especially anchored by your faith?
Yeah. So the good thing is that once you discover your purpose, so I'll use this word a lot of times, But
so in actual fact, in this episode, we're now calling Warren Mr. Purpose because that thread is coming throughout the conversation.
In fact, that's what you guys used to call me, Mr. Purpose, because whenever I open my mouth will be about Mr. Purpose, and so once you discover who you are and why you were created, when you face challenges, you know that God has predestined you, meaning God has already ordained that you follow that road. So you're never alone.
Okay.
So that gives you peace, that gives you comfort. I even say that, whenever I'll face challenges at work, I'll go to God, I prayed to you to accept this role.
Okay.
You will fight for me.
Okay.
So I don't go there like a loner. I go there knowing that God is with me. I go there knowing that whatever that I'm doing is in line with the will of God.
Okay.
That gives you peace, man. That gives you peace.
Wow.
That gives you joy. And I've been said to somebody, and it might sound like I'm arrogant, but I always say that, you know what, even if I can be jobless, in fact, I can't be jobless because purpose means that there's always work.
Okay, there's always something to do.
There's always something to do.
Okay.
So my purpose is not limited to a job. There's always work.
Okay.
So if I don't have employment, but I can always find something to do, to work.
Wow.
So you can never be unemployed if you know what God has created you to do.
Wow. That's an interesting one. You will never be out of what? Of
employment
if you understand what God has created you to do. So there is always work that is available out there. And that is why, this podcast exists to challenge you and to keep on encouraging you to say that you do not have to occupy a particular position for you to make a difference, but there is always a space where you can continue to make that difference wherever you are. So Warren, are you a bishop? Where did you get this title?
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's a bishop, man. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, as I'm not a bishop.
Okay.
I'm Warren. I don't want to be a bishop unless if God decides.
Why are you distancing yourself from other bishops?
Unless if God decide to do so.
Okay.
So one of my brother who was a mentor to me, a brother Charlie Masala.
Yes.
Is the one who came with his name Bishop.
Okay.
And I don't know what he saw, but I was just a young person who was passionate about doing the work of the Lord. At the time, I was serving in the youth ministry, and I guess the work that we did, the passion that we displayed, the difference that we made. We used to go to prison to share the word of God. We used to go to hospitals to pray for the people. We used to have crusades in different areas. So I guess out of that, and because we were young, we did not have families, we didn't have a lot of things to do. We spent our energy doing the work of the Lord.
Okay.
And that's what I always tell young people. Young people, when you are young, spend time doing the work of the Lord.
Yes.
Because when you grow up, you get married, your diary start to get busy. But when you are young, do the work of the Lord. So enjoy every stage of your life.
I like that. Enjoy every stage of your life as the young person. So Warren, this year you celebrated your 20 years anniversary, right? So talk to me about your family. I know that you are really a family man. Do you want to really take us through that space in your life?
Yeah. By God's grace, we've been married for 20 years with my wife. We're from the same place. Her name is Momo.
Home advantage.
Yeah, home advantage.
Yeah.
Language, and even when we visit, we go to one area, and you have a choice whether you're going to sleep at my place or a place. So that's quite nice. And we've been married for about 20 years, and we have 2 children: a son who's turning 17 years this year, and a daughter who's turning 13 years, and hopefully I got the numbers right.
I hope your wife is not going to kill you, especially if you're not going to mention the dates right, the numbers right.
The numbers right, yeah.
So in actual fact, you just triggered something there, Warren, on the daughter. Bukamuso, right?
Correct.
So I hear that you are a sensei. What is a sensei? And when talk to me about it, yeah?
Yeah, so I was a very active person when I was young. So
Okay.
I played soccer and I did karate. So I did karate from primary school.
Okay.
But then I was still young. So I will fight boys in the street. I'll even fight my younger sister. So my mother said, "No, you're not ready."
No
to train."
practice a good thing.
Yeah, I was practicing, So my mother said, you're going to stop to go to training.
Okay.
But then when I got to middle school, I was matured enough, so I went back. So I did karate until I came to the Air Force.
Okay.
I was even on the national team of the Air Force. So I was very good.
And in terms of belts, where are you?
I was a brown belt then.
Okay.
Stopped for some time and then started again to do karate. And I've been doing it now, and I'm now a black belt. So a sensei is when you get to a black belt.
Okay.
So a sensei is a teacher.
Okay.
It's meaning you are a teacher. So over time you have accumulated experience and skill to become a teacher.
And now you're a sensei to your daughter. What are you teaching her, Warren? Are you teaching her to fight or to defend yourself? What is that for?
So let me share a story with you. How it came about that she decided to join me.
Okay.
So on Tuesday and Thursday, I'll go to the dojo to join other karatekas and train. On Mondays and Wednesday, I'll train at home.
Okay.
So my daughter will look at me and then will come in and do whatever that I'm doing. But I realized that, wow, this girl has it. And I started to give attention to him and share the skill. And I realized that she's doing well. Okay. And that's how she got to join me. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I take her also to the dojo.
Okay.
The thing about karate, it instills discipline.
Okay.
And obviously you get to learn skills to defend yourself. Okay. So as a girl, that is an advantage for him. My boy does not like it, but again, because I know the importance of self-defense, I did teach self-defense technique to my son as well.
Wow. That's an interesting one, especially in South Africa, where, one way or the other, you have to find ways on how to defend yourself or being alert in terms of the criminalities and the bullying out there.
Yeah, being alert is a key word of your surroundings.
Are you a chief?
I'm not a chief. I know my name is Khutsile Khosi.
Okay.
And the reason why I was named Khutsile Khosi is because my father was a firstborn.
Okay.
So when I was born as a boy, so they said, okay, your father is a firstborn and you are a boy, you'll be called Khutsile Khosi. So it means the king has come.
It's come. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a chief, but because of my father, who was a firstborn, people tend to respect me that as well. But I mean, but
I was told, go and now it's all the family meetings. If there is any societies and those the funerals, you are the guy who is on the lead.
Yeah. So it comes back to the issue of serving.
Okay.
For me, I love family. I want to help wherever I am. So it's about serving. And now, talking about that, remember the moment you discover your purpose, you then learn that purpose is all about serving other people.
Okay.
So when you get to an environment and there's a need, you close that gap.
Okay.
Yeah. So it just happened that you see the gap and you close the gap. That's where it is coming from.
No, that's an interesting one. I really want to move and talk to you about your leadership philosophy. So, and I know that every time through our conversation, you have always been referring to how you lead, how you want to continue to serve others. I am aware that you have led, of course, from the military. You continue to lead in communication. You have done that in the church that we were once both, I think, serving, and you continue as well in the boardroom. So what I want to check with you is how has your leadership style evolved across these environments?
Awesome. So I think the most important that I've realized, and I want to thank again people like you that I've learned so much from. I want to thank Bishop Solila Lamani, who created a space for us to discover our purpose and to learn about leadership. Once you discover your purpose and you start to serve your purpose, automatically you become to excel in that particular space, and then you are called a leader. But it starts by providing a service. So that's a key thing.
Okay.
And because of that, one got to be exposed to leaders like Abu Charlie, who are very instrumental in our lives. He exposed us to Dr. Miles Monroe. So we read books about leadership. We read books about principles of leadership. And one of the principles that I learned was that as a leader, it is very important that you always become clear about the vision, so that those who are following you understand what you are trying to achieve.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. Be clear about your vision. Communicate your vision.
Okay.
To be practical, let's say you are in a community organization, and you want to serve your community. Be very clear with the team that you are working with. What is that you want to achieve?
Okay.
All right. So the vision is becoming important. Is important. And then after that, I realized that as a leader, your role is to influence then people to get to buy into that vision.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And then make sure that they are consumed by this vision.
Okay.
And they help you to serve it. As a leader, the mistake sometimes that we do, we want to be the face.
Wow.
We want to be the bosses. Your role as a leader is to communicate the vision and then create a space for the people to support you, accomplish that vision.
Okay.
And then important thing that I said earlier that I learned from the defense force was training.
Okay.
Because sometimes you'll have people who have passion but are not equipped.
Okay.
So your role is to provide the training.
Wow.
Now for companies, it's easy because you've got the budget for training. So no matter what I do, I will communicate the vision, the strategy, and then indicate exactly where each one fit in, provide training, and then create a space.
Okay.
And let the people shine.
Wow.
Let the people shine. So don't try to be the center of everything. Allow the people to shine. And I've implemented this philosophy over and over again. It works all the time. And why it's important, work can continue even if you are not there.
Okay.
You are a bad leader.
And at least you are able to take leave.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in the office.
You are a bad leader if you can't take leave.
Okay.
If work stop because you're not there, you are not a good leader.
Wow.
And I learned this also from Dr. Miles Monroe through his books, to say a leader creates other leaders.
Wow.
And then one of my mentors said to me that if you don't create other leaders, you won't take leave. Because people will call you.
The interesting thing that you've just mentioned there that is catching my attention is the issue about mentorship.
Yeah.
Does this concept still work or applies in our current generation? And how have you contributed or continue to contribute, I think, in mentoring others?
Yeah. It's very important. It's very important. It still applies.
Okay.
I have mentors who are talking to me in terms of my marriage. I have mentors who talk to me in terms of my professional work. And what is good is that they touch different areas. And I always advise young people that get mentors, not just one, because we tend to focus on different aspects. So there are young people that I mentor. Some are from the church, some are from my family, and some are from my companies that I've worked before, and some of them I'm still talking to them. Okay. And it's always so fulfilling when you look back and see young people that you have developed and they occupy senior position, and that gives me joy. I spent almost 10 years at the Northwest University, and there I really invested on my team. Okay. And a lot of them now occupy senior position, and I was intentional. I could take leave. Okay. When I left, I knew it was time for me to leave because I've done my part. Wow. And a lot of them have left the university as well to go and occupy senior position. So mentorship, critical role. Wow. It helps you to avoid mistakes. You can grow quickly. So it's still relevant.
Wow. Thank you so very much for indulging us. I think in terms of those of your leadership philosophy, as we're wrapping up our conversation, but before we do that, we're going to switch gears a little bit now. I want us to move into the leadership game. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw 5 questions. Okay. Right? Okay. Yeah, it's 5 quick questions. Okay. On your way. So my expectation here is that no overthinking it. Okay. So we don't no overthinking. First answer that comes to mind is the perfect one. All right. But before I do that, when I left home, I spoke to Tendo, my
Okay,
son, that
okay,
I'm
okay.
going to be meeting with you
Yes,
and having
yeah.
a conversation with you. So
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
what is the question that you want me to ask?
Okay.
Mufeng is dead.
Yes, yes.
So he says,
yeah,
you're going to be asking him questions.
Yeah.
I said, yes. So he says, no, when you meet him, ask him a question.
Yeah.
What is that notable thing
Yeah.
that he has been doing
Yeah.
in life? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, no, anything. It could be business. It could be work. It could be church. So I don't know if you want to indulge Tendo in that question before I come into our game.
about Tendo.
Yeah, Tendo's question. What is the notable thing that you have been doing? I know we discussed a lot,
Yeah.
but just attend to that question.
Yeah. I think one thing is spending more time with my family.
Okay?
Because at some point I was spending more time at work
Okay.
and with
I thought you will say it church, but okay, it's fine.
yeah. But I've been intentional about spending more time with especially my children.
Okay.
My son is in grade 11.
Okay.
So next year,
Very soon he
he'll be
leaves
doing
your
grade
house,
12.
yeah?
So I'm very intentional that, that this last 2 years I've spent a good time with him.
And I think that it's very important. One, don't take it for granted. And I think for me, in the past 3 or 5 years, it has always been that wanting to spend time with your kids. Time flies. One cannot believe.
Yeah.
Path is now in their second year university.
Just imagine.
So, so it already informs that very soon the house will remain empty.
Just the two
and,
of you.
It will be the two of us. So I'm glad, I think, with how you are spending time with your kids. And I think what we're also getting from the progress you're making with Kamoso, I think is something that is commendable. But now let's come back into my questions. Come back to the game.
To the game.
So what I want to check, if you're about to, let's just say you would like to have a special dinner.
Yeah.
So here I just want to check who is the guest that you will prefer to have in that dinner table, whether that leader is present or past, but who could be that person and why?
A leader. Yeah. One of the
past or present, yeah?
One of the leaders who really played an important role in my life is my mother.
Okay.
She's no more.
Okay.
She'll be the first one
Okay.
to put on the list.
Okay. And why? What is the rationale?
The,
I hope I don't make it very emotional for
No,
you,
no,
but
no,
I mean,
no,
what
no.
could be the reason why you are
Yeah.
picking up your mom? Many people will pick up, the
Yeah.
celebrities we see on TV,
Yeah.
or some of them that we read in books, but why are you picking up your mom?
she was very intentional about education,
Okay.
about the importance of it. Like I said, when my father worked in Johannesburg,
Yes.
she held the family together.
Okay.
And she taught me life skill. With my mother, it did not matter whether you were a boy or girl. You did everything. I was cooking, I was cleaning, and when I decided to marry, she said to me, Warren, look after your wife first,
okay.
and your kids.
Okay.
And I'll love to have a dinner with her to say that, I appreciate you for. And the good thing is that I spent time with her,
Okay.
During her last few years.
Okay.
But I feel like I can always have another one to say, Mom, look at your son.
Okay.
All the lessons.
I've made it. I'm here.
I'm here and I'm still growing.
Okay.
But your lessons have made an impact in my life. So my mother will be on the top list.
No, interesting. Thumbs up to mom. She has done a wonderful job indeed.
Yeah.
So what is that one word that describes your leadership style?
Empowerment.
Okay. Do you want to just say something about it?
Empowering other people to become leaders.
Okay.
So in fact, this is how I do it. When I get to an assignment and I work with a team, I will empower them and I want them to take over what I'm doing.
Okay.
When they're ready, I know it's done with that particular assignment. So that's how I leave an assignment.
Okay.
So if there's somebody who can take over my assignment, I know it's time for me to leave.
Wow.
I've done my part.
Wow.
So empowerment.
Empowerment. That's what describes your leadership. You don't hold on the chair until the last day.
No.
Okay.
There's so much that we can do.
Interesting. What is the biggest myth that people believe about you? You know this is a myth, but they believe about you.
People think that I'm an extrovert. I'm an introvert.
How do you justify that, Warren? We always find you in the life of the party. That's what we normally find you.
I call it acting.
Okay.
I call it acting. When I'm with people, I do what needs to be done. But once I'm done, I'll go back to my own space.
Okay. Interesting. Then what keeps you grounded when everything around you is moving very fast? I mean, we're living in a very fast-paced world. So what keeps you grounded in that space?
I think it's always important to find a space to withdraw.
Okay.
I always do that. I know we sometimes get tempted to always be running, working.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm intentional about making the time to pause,
Okay.
take a break.
Okay.
I do that.
What does it mean? Does it mean you take leave? Does it mean you? What do you do?
I take leave.
Okay.
I spend time with my family, not only my immediate family, even the one that comes from home. I'll go and
You
meet
go
with them.
take care of the clan there.
Exactly. So I get energy from that, because especially when you go to the rural areas, you forget about the city life. So for me, that's what I enjoy. It gives me energy. When I come back, I'm energized to continue again.
I want to wrap with my last question, but you just triggered something for me here.
Yeah.
Are you still a taxi boss?
No. I was young. I tried many businesses. One of them was a taxi.
Okay.
And that did not go well. So I tried it, but no, I'm no longer in the taxi business.
Okay. you thought I won't remember?
The issue is that we've been friends for so long that you have the file, man.
No, ke di tshwere kaofela. Or beside being a tax boss, no le mageza as well.
Yes.
And you don't like this, the cash note in the morning.
Yes.
Is it true?
Yes, I mean,
especially the biggest
I
denominator.
mean, you're starting in the morning, so you don't have money. So you expect people to bring the coins so that you can have the change. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The last question I want to ask you: legacy or popularity? Which one matters to you?
Legacy.
Why?
Legacy, and the greatest legacy that I want to leave, my children, is God.
Wow.
Is God, because if you have God. If I teach my children the principles of the Word of God, I know they will sustain their life.
Wow.
If I give them money, if they don't know how to use that money, they might not have it after 3-4 years. But if I teach them God and the principle of God, they'll discover their purpose. And from that purpose, they'll be able to make money.
Wow.
So for me, legacy is important more than popularity. And that's why I always tell people that, once you discover your purpose, you don't fight for friendship, you don't fight for space, because you know who you are.
Wow.
You stick to your line.
Wow. I think that's one of the answers that you have given, I think, through this especially the legacy aspect, where you want to live with your children with God. And I think for me, that's one of the interesting one. But we're wrapping up our conversation.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that was very, very quick.
Yeah.
But what will be your final message?
Yeah.
What is that truth that you want to leave us with about life, purpose, and the power of your voice, the power to speak? And I will want you to give you, I think, a minute or so to talk to our viewers in that camera in terms of your last message. If there is any other thing that we can forget in this conversation, what could be those things that you want our viewers to take note of?
Thank you very much, Pastor Joe. Some years ago, I read a book, and from that book, there was a statement that said that success is predictable and failure is predictable. At that time, I was young, and I thought, that's a very arrogant statement. But I've realized that if you plant a banana seed, you can expect to get what? A banana fruit. All right? So I realized that in life, you can predict your life by doing the right things. So what I want to encourage is that if you want to change your life, so the first thing is that take ownership of your life and plant the right seed. If you want to have a good friendship, plant the seeds of good friendship. if you want to be a good business person, talk to other business people who have done it before. Allow them to talk to you, and then learn and have a teachable spirit and practice the principles that they've given you, because then your life will be predictable.
Wow.
And closing, again, coming back to purpose, each one of us was created by God for a purpose, meaning you don't have to try your life. Go to God and say, God, you have created me. What is that plan that you have for me? And once you discover that plan, go after it, because your life will be fulfilled if you discover your purpose. That's my message to the people out there.
Wow, indeed, that has been very much interesting and educating episode. I hope you are empowered wherever you are. The aspect of purpose, finding, the right seed that you can plant into the direction of your life, it is important. So at JJM Leadership Foundation, we want to encourage you to start making a difference where you are. Find something that you can do. It doesn't have to be very big. You don't have to start a political party. You don't have to start an organization for you to make a difference. All that is important that we are learning today is that we are all leaders. We might be leading institutions. We might be leading our families. We might be leading self. But you have a contribution that you can make. You are making that contribution. Thank you so very much, Warren, for joining with me. I really appreciate the opportunity and the time that you have taken to be part of this conversation. We're hoping that your story inspires someone to stand from where they're coming from to where, to pursue their dreams. You have shared, I think, a lot of principles that I believe that our viewers will be able to take home. So on that note, colleagues, if you want to follow us, you can follow us on all the social media platforms at JJM Leadership, and that is where you can find us at JJM Leadership. And you can also follow me, Joe Joseph Mudau, as well in all the social media platforms. And I'm hoping that we're going to meet on the other side as we continue to inspire this generation into their greatness. God bless you.
JJM Leadership Foundation.